What up, guys? This is Mr. Oracalicos here, and today I thought I'd give you another one of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiles. It is a Performapal deck. There are Pendulum monsters except for Salute Tiger, which is also in the deck, and that's all I can really say about it. I'm really kind of new to the pendulums. Tell me what you guys think in the comments when I finish it. I run 2 Performapal Lizard Draw. Its pendulum says if you have a Performapal card in your other pendulum zone except Lizard Draw, you can destroy this card. And if you do draw 1 card, you only use it once per turn. Its the actual effect: if another face-up monster you control is destroyed by an opponent's attack or card effect, you can draw cards equal to the number of Performapal monsters you currently control. Pretty good if you have two of these on the field, because I think you can only use 1 per turn, 1 card per turn. But if not, this one's destroyed, you can draw with this one and then play with this one too. But I'm not sure if that's correct. 1 Marshmallow. Set it. Your opponent attacks it. Flip. Can't be destroyed by battle, and your opponent takes 1,000. 3 Camelump. Pendulum effect. Once per turn during your main phase, you can target 1 face-up monster you control. The monster your opponent can control lose 800 defense until the end of this turn. And if they do, if the target monster attacks a defense position monster, you inflict piercing. And its original effect is if this card is destroyed by battle, you make the monster that destroyed it, this card, lose 800 attack. 3 Silverclaw. Pendulum effect says all Performapal monsters you control currently gain 300 attack. And when this card declares an attack, all Performapal monsters you currently control gain 300 attack until the end of the turn. Run 3 of those. I run 3 Salute Tigers. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to graveyard, add 1 Performapal. You can add 1 Performapal Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, but you can only use it once per turn. I run 3 Drummerella. Pendulum effect. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving a monster you control and an opponent's monster, you can target that monster you control. It gains 600 attack until the end of the battle phase, even if this card leaves the field. Actual effect: if there are no monsters you control on the field, your opponents, you can normal summon this card without attributing. If this card is normal summoned without attributing, it becomes a level 4. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving a monster you control and an opponent's monster, it's basically the same thing as the pendulum effect. You can target that monster you control against 600 attack to the end phase. Pretty good if this is in your pendulum zone and on the field, and another one on the field, because then your monster, it'll be a chain, and then your monster will gain 1,200 attack. Also pretty good if you have all 3 on the field, because then it'll gain 1,500. Now, a friend of mine helped me build this deck, and he suggested running Ignite Mulgrave. It's a normal monster, but it has a pendulum effect, but it really doesn't work with pendulums. But it says if you have an Ignite card in your other pendulum zone, you destroy both cards in your pendulum zones. And if you do, add 1 Fire Warrior type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. I only use it in the pendulum zone for the pendulum number, which is 7. From what I understand, pendulum summoning goes that if you have, like, say, if you have Drummerella in 1 pendulum zone, and which is his pendulum number is 2, and Mulgrave in the other one, his pendulum number is 7, you have to pendulum summon pendulum monsters whose level is between those two numbers. That's what I understand. The last monster that I have is another normal monster, Its pendulum numbers is also 7, like Mulgrave. It's Sky Dragoons of Dragonia. Once per turn, when a normal monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. Pretty good if you're attacking with Mulgrave, and this card is in your pendulum zone. That's my monsters, and here are my spells. I run 3 Bubble Barrier. All Performapal monsters and Performage monsters cannot be destroyed by battle once per turn, or by card effects once per turn. And you take no battle damage from attacks involving Performapal and Performage monsters you control. I run 3 of those. 3 Performapal Recasting. Reveal 2 Performapal monsters you control, shuffle them into the deck, then draw the same amount of cards you shuffled plus 1. So if you have 2 Performapal monsters in your hand and you reveal them, you shuffle them into the deck, draw 2, but you also draw 1 more after that. And you can only activate it once per turn. 2 Wavering Eyes. Basically, if you have pendulum monsters in your pendulum zones, and so does your opponent, you can activate each effect in sequence. They go as followed. 1 or more, inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. 2 or more, you can add 1 pendulum monster from your main deck to your hand. 3 or more, you can banish 1 card on the field, or if all 4 were destroyed, you can add 1 Wavering Eyes from your deck to your hand. I run 2 of those. Book of Moon, target 1 card on the field, flip it to face down defense position. 2 Darkhold, destroy all monsters on the field. Bear with me though, this deck does have 2 Proxies, and it's MST. Destroy 1 Spell Trap card on the field, and 1 Swords of Revealing Light. Now, I'm not saying any names, but there's some people on Dueling Network who doesn't really understand this card. It says, flip all face-up monsters your opponent controls. This card remains face-up on the field for 3 of your opponent's turns. While this card remains face-up on the field, your monsters your opponent controls cannot attack. They think the spell card goes for both your turns. But it specifically says this card remains face-up on the field for 3 of your opponent's turns, and none of your opponent's monsters can attack. Now I'm just saying that out there. I'm just saying this out there for those people on Dueling Network, because some of them don't understand how to play this card. I'm not saying any names or their Dueling Network username. That's my traps. Those are my spells, and here's my traps. Performapal Half Pinch. Once per turn, when your opponent declares a direct attack, you can negate the attack, and if you special summon 1 Performapal monster from your deck, but its effects are negated. And when an attack is declared involving the monster you control, you can send this card to the graveyard, and you take no battle damage. I play Half Unbreak. Target 1 monster on the field. This turn, that monster cannot be destroyed by battle, and any battle damage you take from attacks involving that monster is halved. I play 1 of those. 2 Sacros Armor. When your opponent declares an attack against a monster you control, destroy the attacking monster. I only run 1 Mirror Force, but I'm really reconsidering running another one. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. And finally, 1 Dust Tornado. Destroy a spell trap card your opponent controls, and then you're allowed to set a spell trap card. Well, guys, that's my Performapal deck profile. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't for some odd reason. Subscribe for more videos. Also subscribe to my other YouTube account. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Master. This is Mr. Orichalcos, signing off.